How many times you open a bottle convinced that the wine will be good, and instead felt disappointed? Very often it's not the wine's fault, and not the producer either. The problem is that the wine gets ruined at home without us even realizing. Smell, everyday mistakes made in good faith, but that completely changed what ends up in the glass. Today I want to show you the most common mistakes that ruin the wine at home, and most importantly, how to avoid them in a simple way. Hi, I'm Pietro from Podere la Marronaia. We are a family-run farm. We produce organic and biodynamic wine in San Gimignano. Some of our wine won also the Verano Wine Hunter Festival. If you're interested to the wine world, follow us and subscribe. This is the number one mistake. Drinking the wine too warm or too cold change everything. A warm wine exaggerates the alcohols and flattens the aromas. A wine that's too cold becomes closed, rigid, and melt. The issue is that often really on the idea of room temperature, which today is much higher than it used to be. Wine does not like the heat. It's better slightly to cool them to warm. Even red wine, especially too young or some star reds, can spend a few minutes in the fridge before serving it. How to avoid it? Use the fridge as an ally, not an enemy. Often, 15-30 minutes are enough to make a big difference. Drinking a good wine from the wrong glass, it's like listening to good music through bad speakers. Glasses that are too small, thick, colored, or overly closed prevent the wine from breathing and releasing its aromas. You don't need 10 different types of glasses, but you do need at least one good one. How to avoid it? Choose a clear, thin glass with a wide bowl and another opening at the top. One good universal glass is better than many wrong ones. Opening a bottle and leaving it there, maybe with the cork just resting on top, is one of the most common mistakes. Oxygen helps the wine breathe. Yes, but it also oxidizes. After a short time, especially if the bottle is left out of the fridge, the wine loses its freshness, aromas and energy. How to avoid it? Always reseal the bottle and put it in the fridge, even if it's a red. Cold slows the oxidation and lets you keep the open bottle for a few extra days. Keeping wine near the oven or on top of the fridge, in the kitchen or exposed to light, it's a very common mistake. Wine suffers from heat, temperature swings, and light. Even the unopened bottle can be damaged if stored poorly. How to avoid it? Choose a cool, dark, and stable place. You don't need a perfect cellar. Just avoid heat and direct light, and store the bottle horizontally if they have a cork. A decanter is not always the solution. Using it randomly can actually make a wine worse, especially if the wine is delicate or already involved. The decanter accelerates the oxidation, and not all wines can handle that. How to avoid it? Taste the wine first. If it feels tight and close, the decanter may help. If it's already open and expressive, the glass and a little bit of time are often enough. When you don't like a wine, the first route is often that wine is just as good. In reality, it may happen to be served at the wrong temperature, stored poorly, or drunk in the wrong moment. Wine is alive and extremely sensitive to the context. How to avoid it? Pause for a moment. Check temperature, glass, and condition. Sometimes changing just one thing completely changing the experience. Avoiding these mistakes doesn't mean becoming rigid or complicated. It means respecting what you're drinking. Very often you don't need to buy more expensive wine. You just need to stop ruining that at home. When you start paying attention to these details, you realize that many wines you throw to the average were simple badly. Wine doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for your attention. Avoiding these common mistakes allow you to drink better, waste less, and truly enjoy the bottle. Here at Marronaia, we believe the wine should be guided and not stressed. If you want to keep learning how to treat the wine in the right way, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and come visit us in San Gimignano. We just didn't treat it properly. Cheers!